Good afternoon and welcome to your usual broadcast with Born to Lead. And this is me, Shedrack Baku, and I'm coming to you live from the Born to Lead studio even this afternoon. It's an honor and a pleasure and a privilege to have you join us at this broadcast and to deepen your knowledge and your wealth actually of knowledge regarding several aspects of the topic leadership. Today we're going to be talking about how to increase your influence. Now, you may be asking why we need to talk about that. Now, if you have followed me consistently over time, you would realize that I've got one simple definition of the term leadership, and that is influence. This is propounded many years ago by J. Oswald Sander, a foremost New Zealander. I've held on to that definition for quite some time now, and it's been a guiding pillar and light for me as far as this broadcast is concerned, or as far as leadership is concerned, and for me. And today I'm saying if leadership is influence, then how do you increase your influence to a higher level, a higher degree, to enable you cover more ground, to enable you change more things about your environment and about your person and about the persons that you relate with generally. So we're going to be looking at how to increase your influence even today. Now, let me quickly point out that there are three levels, or there are three factors as summarized by me and some other great leadership trainers and teachers as means by which you can greatly increase your influence. And I'm going to take them in summary form. I'll try to compress them to get everyone to have a good understanding of what you need to do to increase your level of influence. But once again, I appreciate everyone who is live and watching now online. Thank you so much for being a part and parcel of this broadcast. And like I usually say, I would give room for questions. I'll give room for comments just on your comment box on whatever platform you're watching. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, please just make comments and the comments will come over and I'll go through them. If there are questions, I would respond to the questions as quickly as I can. And as we usually do on this platform, we will open it up for others to make contributions on the platform. So what are the ways in which you can increase your influence? Now, every one of us has a level of influence around our environment, around people. If you have any 2-3 persons looking up to you, whether for livelihood, fashion, education, whatever it may be, if there are people who admire you, okay, and change their modes of doing things or get impacted by how you behave and how you run your life, then you are a leader. And that means that your influence has settled upon their lives. Now, the truth about life is that every one of us has the capacity to influence thousands of people. In fact, research has shown that if you live a life of about 50 years on earth, and that this research was done long before social media came up. Now, if you've done a research in that regard, you will discover that everyone who lives at least for 50 years on earth has the capacity to influence at least 20,000 persons. And now, like I said, that was done even before the social media was brought to bear. And with social media, you can actually influence greater number. Just yesterday, I think I was reading Lionel Messi congratulating the 60 million followers that he has on Instagram. That's an amazing number. That's a huge number. And what it tells is that he, by one word, can influence 60 million people. Cristiano Ronaldo, his counterpart, has had well over 100 million followers on social media. That's huge. Okay? And you can do a number of things with that. But how do these people increase their influence? Or how do I, as a leader, increase my influence, take it up from this level to the next level? And I've summarized it by giving you the 3 C's of how to increase your influence over people. The first is by connection. And by connection, I simply mean relationship. Now, how you relate with people will determine how you impact them and how you influence them. Okay? I read a quote for you that says that the fastest way to improve your relationship is to make others feel important in every way possible. The fastest way to increase your relationship is to make others feel important in every way possible. Now, for you to increase your influence, you have got to relate with people. And to relate with people, you must do it in such a way that the people's interests become your higher interest. Everyone who is selfish about his own interest as against the interests of people loses his influence over people. So for you to influence people by relationship, or for you to increase your influence, first you've got to relate with people. And as you relate with people, you've got to take their interests as higher and greater than your own interest. The second way is to treat them the way that you want to be treated. I receive these calls, when I make calls to people I haven't made calls to for a long time, I get the accusations coming from people saying, you haven't called me for a long time. Well, you have forgotten about me, and so on and so forth. And my immediate response is that I have just called you. You have just received a call from me. And by the way, if you have missed me so much, you should have been the one calling me. So when you hear people accuse you of not calling them for such a long time, they are actually portraying the fact that they also haven't called you for a long time. So, in essence, treat others the way that you yourself want to be treated. If you want me to call you regularly, then you must learn to call me regularly. And if I want you to call me regularly, then I've got to call you as often as I can. So to increase your relationship, you must treat others the way that you expect them to treat you. Okay? You must give up your rights for the sake of their own rights. Of course, as a lawyer, I know the famous saying that says, your own right ends where my own right begins. But as a leader, I know that for you to increase your influence, for you to have greater impact over people, you must stretch forth other people's right into your own space and allow them have their way at times. Okay? I'm not saying that you step down your own interest to the point that you become a doormat. No. I'm saying that you become the door where people come in and try to relate with you, try to engage with you. So, for you to increase your level of relationship, like I said, 1, you must consider other people's rights as being higher and greater than your own rights. 2, you must treat them the way that you expect them to treat you. You must create a window, knowing that first and foremost, we are all humans and liable and capable to err. And because we can all err, then you must give room for people's error, and you must also be willing to forgive them, whether they ask for your forgiveness or not. These things, if you do them, will create a greater and higher relationship between you and other persons. Now, this demands energy. It requires energy. The truth is that you cannot do this without burning some level of energy. When you forgive people who have offended you even before they ask for your forgiveness, it takes grit, it takes energy, it takes strength for you to be able to do that. Now, I reckon as human too that forgiveness is not the easiest of tasks, but it is possible. It is highly possible for you to forgive anyone who offends you. The second way by which you can increase your influence over people is that, or by the way, before I just leave this issue of relationship, one way that you can increase or up your game in terms of relationship is to learn to serve. If you must be the greatest in any group, whether in your family or in your school, your workplace, you must learn to serve people. The higher, the greater service that you render to people, the more important you become in their eyes. There are people who think that serving others is degrading. It is not. It increases your influence over the people that you have been called to lead. That is, if you serve in a leadership position, so to speak, that you have been called to lead is not to say that you have been called to suffer, but you have been called to serve. And serving people will increase your relationship with those people. All right? So that's one way in which to increase your influence over people. The second is to increase your competence or your competence. Be good at what you do. Experts have so many friends, even friends that they may not reckon with. Earlier on, I just stated that Lionel Messi has gone up to 60 million followers on social media. Now, I bet you that he does not know much more than 1,000 persons amongst those followers on a person-to-person note. Why do people want to relate with him? Because he's shown great competence in terms of football. And the tendency is for people to think that once you are competent in one field of life, then you can be competent in all other spheres of life. So you've got to be competent at what you do. Competent people always have a way to impact and to influence people. Jaggi Vasudev says this: if you want to be successful, don't seek success. Seek competence, empowerment. Do nothing short of the best that you can do. And it was Martin Luther King Jr. who, in stating out the importance of competence, encouraged people that when you sweep the street, sweep the way that Michelangelo would have painted the walls. Of course, competent people have great influence over other people. For you to be competent in a field means that you've got to study the field and you've got to narrow down to the things that you learn from that field. There are so many courses online, but I narrow myself to courses on leadership. I pursue things about leadership that should help improve me at any point in time. I do not run from pillar to post, trying to learn everything. No. Of course, I know a bit about so many things, but I try to be an expert at leadership. If you check the shelf at home, 3/4 of my books are on leadership. Why? Because I am driving hard to be an expert in leadership. I've known so much about leadership, but every time that I increase in my knowledge on leadership, I come to the understanding that I do not know so much. So for you to increase your influence over people, you must be competent at what you do. And what is it that you're doing right now? A carpenter, a seamstress, a fashion designer, a mechanic, whatever you're doing, once you become competent at what you do, the third C as to how to increase your influence over people is character. You must be a person of integrity to be able to influence people. And the higher you increase your integrity, the greater influence you have over people. Leadership is about trust. And people do not trust people who do not have character. A person of character says one thing in the daytime, and that thing remains even at night. When you look around you, the people you trust the most are people of character. The products, the services that you enjoy daily are products and services of people with character and integrity. People you can look up to and trust them by day and by night. An Irish proverb says it is better to be a man of character than to be a man of means. And I think that should be our proverb on a daily basis. Why? Because you see, a good name is better than riches. And for you to get a good name, you've got to be a trustworthy person, a person of character, a person who has a set of moral rules that he or she is guided by, whether by day or by night. Someone who says a thing and will risk his or her life to fulfill that thing that he says. A person of character does not say what he doesn't mean and doesn't do what he has not said. So for you to increase your character or for you to increase your influence, you have got to be a person of character. Again, 3 things by which to increase your influence over people. Number 1, your competence. Number 2, your connection, relationship with people. And number 3, your character. If you increase these things on a daily basis, if you become an expert at what you do, if you relate freely with people, they are able to gain access to you, to ask you questions and to get good answers from you. If you are able to be a person of character, to stick by what you say, then your influence over people will increase. I'll draw the curtain at this point today, and I appreciate you all for being online with me, and thank you for being with me through this session. Now, I'm going to encourage you. Check us out on YouTube, Born to Lead, the Born to Lead channel on YouTube. And I'll plead with you to watch, to like, and to subscribe, as well as share to others to enjoy some of the things that you are enjoying. If you're on Facebook, share these videos and let us get to train ourselves at being better leaders at every sphere of life where we find ourselves. Thank you so much. I'll see you next week, even as I continue with another topic. Have a blessed week ahead of you. Bye-bye.